Well, good day, friends. This is Jim Willis, managing member of Southport Financial. And this is another one of our little talks. It seems to me that we're in the commercial real estate business, and it seems to me there's plenty of money out there. Funds, money raisers, high income net worth people. There's plenty of money. The problem seems to be in our industry is product. Where do you find enough commercial real estate properties to invest in? And where do you find the good ones? And how do you do it? I see lots and lots of companies that have tons of money, but are scrambling to find property. Acquisitions drives our business. So it's not unusual for us to get asked how it is that we've been so successful for 30 years in finding property to invest in. Well, it's not easy, friends. It's really not easy. But if there was a quick answer, the answer would be you got to look at a lot of stuff. You got to look at a lot of opportunities out there. And then on top of that, you got to be clever on how you buy it. Because although there's a shortage of properties or opportunities, there's still thousands and thousands of people that are ready, willing, and able to waste every minute of your time. I mean, I see it every day where we get submissions or offerings of properties that just clearly don't make any sense financially or physically, for that matter. We see a lot of those too. So let me recap a little bit. Over the last 30 plus years, we look at probably 3,000 to 4,000 opportunities every year. There are some years that we looked at 5,000 and more opportunities. Now, how many out of that 5,000 would we buy? 4, 5. That's the ratio. If you want to buy 5 properties next year, you got to look at 5,000 opportunities to buy. And you've got to have a selection process that defines and narrows the properties that you're looking for, and gets rid of the bad ones and gets rid of them quick, because you haven't got time. Time is an enemy of ours. That's why we can't afford to have people waste our time. So we discriminate quite a bit on who it is that we're talking to. Consequently, most of the deals that we've done through the years have been what's called off-market. That means they were not listed by a broker. We buy properties from other owners, and other owners buy properties from us, because we know that when we deal with each other, we're not going to waste each other's time, because we don't have time to waste. You need to build a network of reliable, credible people that you can do business with. Let me give you an example. I got a call from a friend of mine who was a builder in Charleston, South Carolina. And he called me up and he said, "Hey, Jim, there's a property here that you really got to come and take a look at. There's a man that I know who owns a whole chain of stores. He just sold all of his stores to a company called Service Merchandise, and he wants to retire. He's got an apartment property here in Charleston that he just wants to sell, get rid of it." So my friend was very credible, so I hopped on a plane right away, and the next morning I was in Charleston to look at this property. And friends, it was a beauty. It was a little over 200 units, brick, pitched roofs, individual meters, had a spectacular recreation center and pool, and it was just a sweetheart. One of the things I noticed about it right away, it was that there's no sign. Didn't know the name of the property. And it almost looked like somebody was trying to hide it. I couldn't quite, when I first looked at it, I couldn't quite figure out what was going on. Anyway, my friend introduced me to the owner, and the owner said, yeah, he built the property 10 years ago or 12 years ago. He really couldn't remember. He did it to shelter some income that he had and to have an investment for his children once they grew up. And he is selling his business. His children don't want anything to do with the apartment property. He just wants to sell it, and he wants a fair price. He doesn't want to deal with the brokerage community because they seem to waste his time. So he appreciated the fact that I came down there to see him and meet him and see the property. Well, he told me the story of the property, and the story kind of went like this. He said, after I built the property, I decided that I didn't want to get phone calls at 2 in the morning because somebody's sink was backed up or the refrigerator stopped working. I didn't want to get any calls from the tenants. So I called my attorney and I told my attorney, look, you run the property. All I want to do is make sure there's enough to cover the expenses and to cover the mortgage. And other than that, I don't want to hear it. Don't even tell me about it. Just make sure those things are covered and I'll be happy. Well, his attorney did that. But his attorney said, gee, I've got a law practice to run. I haven't got time to deal with tenants and tenant problems and stuff like that. This attorney knew a newly retired Air Force sergeant. And he knew that sergeants knew how to run things. So he hired the sergeant to be the property manager. And he told the sergeant, look, if you ever call me, I'm going to fire you. Don't call me. If somebody has a problem with the sink backup, call a plumber. If the roof leaks, call a roofer. Don't call me. Just send me a check for what is left over after expenses, and that's it. I don't want to hear from you. I don't want to hear anything. Well, the sergeant's being no dummy. He said, wow, this sounds like a pretty good job. And what he decided to do was keep the rents very, very, very low so there'd be no turnover. Didn't spend any money on marketing or advertising. As a matter of fact, he took the signs down. He leased it to his friends, his relatives, and the people that he knew in the community. And everybody was happy because they're paying half the rent, paying half the market rent. No problems, no complaints. The owner's happy, the lawyer's happy, the property manager's happy, and the tenants are happy. It was a beautiful world. Now, when you come to analyze commercial real estate, there's a formula that's used. And the formula is based on the net operating income. You take your income minus your expenses, you've got your net operating income. And you use a mathematical factor of the net operating income to come up with the value. In other words, a commercial property with no income is worth nothing. If you've got high income after expenses, it's worth a lot. Well, this particular property, the rents were half market rent. So when you use the formula, the value came out much lower than the real value. But the owner wasn't interested in the formulas or anything else. He said, just give me a good price. So I came up with a price based on the current income. He liked the price. He knew we weren't going to waste his time. We could close fairly soon, 60 days out. And he was happy. He said, okay, I'll take the deal. I wrote him a personal check right there on the spot so I wouldn't lose it. And we went to contract. Interestingly enough, I had heard from a small bank in Warner Robins, Georgia. I had to look up Warner Robins on the map. I really didn't know where Warner Robins was. It's an Air Force base outside Atlanta, and there was a little local bank called the Bank of Warner Robins in Warner Robins. So I called, and I heard that they were looking to get into commercial real estate. I called the president of the bank. The president said, yeah, they've been making loans to peanut farmers and cow farmers, and they really wanted to broaden their horizons, and they wanted to get into commercial real estate. So I said, look, let me come down and visit you and see what we can do. So I hopped on a plane. I left right from Charleston. I flew to Atlanta, rented a car, and drove to Warner Robins. Warner Robins, a little tiny town. It was an Air Force town, matter of fact, because the Air Force base was right there in Warner Robins. Well, the headquarters of the Bank of Warner Robins looked like a little branch bank. It was a one-story building. And the president of the bank looked like a high school kid to me. He was young. I was amazed. But indeed, he said, yes, they want to get into commercial real estate. And he asked me, he said, do you have something that we can take a look at? And I said, sure. We just bought a property in Charleston, and I'd like to get a bridge loan until we can set up more permanent financing. And he said, sure, how much you need? So I told him the cash that we needed. We were going to assume the underlying mortgage and put in cash. He gave me 100% of what we needed. So, make a long story short, folks, because of relationships that we had established, we were able to find a beautiful off-market property. We dealt directly with the owner. We established a new relationship with a bank who gave us a bridge loan for all the cash that we needed in order to purchase this property. It was a win, win, win. And it only was possible, again, I'm repeating myself, but it was only possible by the relationships that we had been able to make. And friends, if you do that, you can be very, very successful in the commercial real estate business. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you again soon.